in fact, I totally kind of hear what you're saying, because last year I co-founded this organization called the Women Leadership Circle, which was exactly to your point of, if you really want to empower someone, when you empower a leader, they in turn can empower thousands of people,
Right.
under them. Because, and also it's always the top-down approach, right? I mean, everybody's looking up to the leader. So if the leader is doing things right and they set the right examples, you automatically, there is a path that can be followed, which, a lot of seekers are looking for.
Absolutely.
I'm calling it seeker, but it could be, somebody from within your organization, somebody from within your family, or friends. And so it's very important to kind of empower them, because then the impact is thousandfold. It's not just one person that you're impacting, but you're impacting so many more. So
Absolutely.
I
It's the
kind
ripple effect, right? You speak to one person, they have a kind of a consciousness awakening, or they understand something about themselves or how they're interacting with other people, and then all of a sudden it ripples out because they've changed as the parent, maybe in the families, right, as a leader. But that's why high performers or leaders in their own right, and they don't have to be, at a super high level. They don't even have to be CEOs. Like, all of us are actually leaders of our lives. But those who identify themselves as, yes, I want to create something, I want to express myself.
Yeah,
That
and the mindset really matters, because I'll give you a small example, Nina. When I started my organization a couple of years ago, I wanted to start my own app. So it's a fitness company. We thought we'll start an app, and I'd spent like a substantial amount of money
right,
um, while developing this. And nothing had happened, because tech is such a bottomless pit. You keep putting money, you don't even know what is being developed. And
Mhm.
then, I was having a chat with this friend of mine, and he told me that, Shilpa, there are thousands, like there are hundreds and thousands of apps out there. You should be clear, what is it that you really want to offer? The app
Right.
has to be phase 3 or phase 4 of your business. So I was feeling very disappointed. I came back home. I told my husband that, I feel terrible that I've spent so much money, and I got it all wrong. I was feeling like a complete failure. And then he turned around and he told me that, Shilpa, I'd spent about 30 to 35 lakhs Indian rupees, which is 5,000 odd dollars. And I
Mhm.
just felt that I spent so much money and it's all like gotten wasted. And then he said that, I'd spent about $30,000, which I any which way spent for my
Right.
kids' education. They were in seventh grade. And my husband's like, we spent that much money. Do you think they're learning so much in seventh grade that you're feeling so terrible about what you have learned? Because what you have learned, even an
Right.
Ivy League would not have taught you. And that is a sign of a true leader, because immediately when I was feeling so terrible and bad and, hopeless in life,
Just lifting
suddenly
you up.
perspective. And I was like, you know what? Yes, I need to treat this as a mode of education. I need to just treat as a learning experience and move on. And he told me that, very quickly you will realize this is just a rounding of error in your
Right.
business. When the business grows, and you should be happy that you've realized it now, rather than when you would have wasted hundreds and thousands of dollars more. And so it's great. It's only $30,000. Forget about it. Just
Yeah.
restart.
So
And I'm
true.
so
I speak
grateful.
about this concept of failing forward. And I actually think that failure is the quickest way to success.
Yeah.
The more you can fail, the more you know it doesn't work, but you got to be courageous enough to actually take the step forward and take massive action. And
Uh,
I've done it so many times in my life, and I've felt like a failure so many times, like this didn't work, and this didn't work, and this didn't work. And I think the only people that really fail are those that quit on themselves, right? Or quit on the project, or and you just got to pivot and adapt. So tell me more about your company today. So how is it going? And tell me about the Women Leadership Circle. I want to know everything.
So I started my fitness company about a couple of years ago. And by God's grace, it's doing really well. We are already profitable. We are a 22-member team right now. We've expanded. We conduct a lot of offline marathons, and we do it very closely with the armed forces. So it's a very unique experience, because people in India are not allowed, civilians are not allowed inside army campuses. So when we give them that option, because we work with the armed forces, it's a very, very exciting opportunity for them, and we get them closer. And of course, we've adopted the paraplegic rehab center, so we do take care of a lot of injured soldiers. So it's very fulfilling from that point of view. And then we also have an app. We do a lot of employee health reset programs. So it's great. We are scaling up, so it's a very, very exciting phase. As far as WLC, the Women Leadership Circle, is concerned, it just happened. A friend of mine approached me and she said that, hey, I want to do this. Why don't you help me out? Very crudely put, it was supposed to be like a YPO, but for women, because a lot of able women do not make it to YPO, because
Right.
obviously the filters are so strict, right? but they really want to, they don't have any ecosystem. They don't know where can they form a forum, where they can get another perspective, like how can they have a sounding board. Because the problems are similar. Like a woman is donning various hats. You're a mother, you're a parent. I mean, you're a child also. You have to take care of your aging parents, you have to take care of your kids, you have to take care of your family. If you're like in India, it's very usual to have a joint family system.
Right.
So you also have to take care of your in-laws and extended family. What's going to get cooked at home today? The social fabric, the social part of it, and of course your career. So there are just so many things that you're navigating at the same time, and you need that support system or an ecosystem to understand that how can you do and balance all of this without feeling overwhelmed. So that's
Yes,
when
I love it. No, this is so true. We all need help and support. The more I, as a facilitator myself, go into these groups and, help people realize what the most important things for them, right? Priorities to get out of overwhelm and really figure out what are my steps. The more I realize that people, even at the highest level, need guidance. Like we all need support and we all need that outside perspective. So I'm so happy that you've created that space for women, right? Specifically for women where they feel safe, they feel heard. Is there any like any criteria for someone to join?
there are certain, yeah. So you have to be like a working either professional or an entrepreneur, and
Mhm,
there is like we have kept a certain filtration level in terms of the size of the business. But
mhm.
of course, it's way lesser than a YPO standard. But the idea was to be more inclusive, but at
Right.
the same time, not make it like a kiddie party. Have really
Exactly.
women who want that value and are willing to give it as well as get some value, common value out of this platform. So that was the
Mhm.
whole thought.
Awesome. So tell me, how many members do you have, or how does it work?
We have about 32 members. We started only a year ago, and we
Okay.
want to keep it niche. And last year was a lot of trial error, figuring ourselves out. And I think now we've taken like a 1 year has been a huge, like a steep learning curve for us. And hopefully but we want to keep it tight. We don't want to have too many right away. So
Right.
we only have one chapter in Bombay right now with about 32 odd members. Hopefully, we'll take that number to about 50, 55 by the end of this year.
Wow,
And
I love it. Let's talk actually about 2025 because we're in the beginning of the year and we just celebrated, we just said goodbye to 2024. What are kind of your goals, dreams, intentions?
So, before I get into that, I wanted to quickly tell you one small incident that happened while you were talking about how we have to don many hats and there are so many roles and it can get overwhelming. When I had my twins, I went to a stage like I was always this extremely, go getter, very ambitious. I've worked
Right.
since I was 16 years old. So suddenly to find myself in a situation when I have these two kids and it was impossible for me to go back to work. I was really questioning myself a lot. And I kept thinking that, okay, what am I doing here in my life? Right. So I had a conversation with my uncle and he asked me a very simple question. He said, Shilpa, when you were a fourth grader, how many subjects did you have? I said, eight subjects. And he said, what was the passing mark? I said 40. So he said, if you got 320, you would qualify to go to the get to go to upgrade to the next level. Like you would go to fifth grade. I said, of course. So he said, what if you got 104 subjects and zero in the other four, which means that you got 400, which is way more than 320. Would you still qualify to go to the next grade? And I said, with four zeros, no way. I don't think you can go to grade
Yeah.
five. And then he said, life is exactly that. We play, give or take, 7 to 8 different roles. And sometimes we get so focused on just doing two or three really well and we ignore the rest, but we are really then not upgrading. We are not really growing.
Mhm.
And so when you ask me this question that what are your goals for
Mhm.
2025, somehow that incident has had so much impact on my thought process that I
Mhm.
actually have 4 or 5 different goals. I don't have a singular goal. So like, from my health perspective, I want to get fitter. I want to probably run maybe 3 or 4 marathons this year. So I've kind of quantified it. As far as my business is concerned, I really am thinking that this time, maybe this year probably will be the year when I go to market and maybe raise some funds there, like really scale it up. As far as WLC is concerned, take it to another city
Right.
or other to another place. And also I really want to make it to the part of the TCC. It's basically the Travelers Century Club, and you become a part of this club
Right.
only when you've attended 100 countries, when you visited 100 countries. So I've done 76. So I'm hoping I do four, like, and I want to be a part of TCC before I turn 50. So I'm hoping I do four new countries this year. So if you see, there are too many goals, but
Yeah.
it's because I have bucketed them in a way that I balance my life out. I just don't get so focused on one thing that I forget other aspects of my life. I
Yeah.
don't know if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. I think the way I do it, just to give you some exchange in perspective, is that I have like one overarching, but then all of the other areas of life obviously need attention, right? Like you're saying, health. I think it's like three buckets: health, wealth, relationships. Those are like my three buckets where I was like, okay, how am I going to do? And wealth is like a big word, but it encompasses the business, it encompasses financial abundance, and all the projects I'm doing. But then health is really about health for me and health for the family, right? Because a lot of the kids to take care of, my husband's doing a detox right now. Like, so it's like managing this. And then relationships are super important as well in terms of friendships, social, in terms of the clients I meet, etc. So I love what you're doing in terms of it's for me, it's not even so much work-life balance, which is such an overused word. I see it more of a blend, right? It's like a
Mm,
smoothie. All of the
right.
ingredients are getting inside, and then it's going to create your unique, like the Shilpa smoothie or the Nina smoothie. And
I like
that's
that.
going to be like the blend, right? I'm preparing my reinvention program right now, which is all about, starting anew, starting fresh, setting goals for 2025, but in a way that doesn't come from resolutions, but it comes from within. It comes from leading
Mm.
from within. It comes from what are my true desires? What do I really want to do? Like if everything was taken care of, what would I do all day long? If I
Do you
didn't
have that answer?
say
Do you
again.
know what you really want? Do you have that answer? Do you have
Oh,
that
I
clarity?
do. I actually, it's very interesting. So I have been sitting down and meditating on this, and I've asked people from my Time Samurai group that just finished my time and energy mastery. And you know what? It brings people directly to, interestingly enough, either their childhood, where they were doing the thing,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, part of what I'm doing today is completely aligned. Like I asked my parents what I was doing all day long without seeing time pass by. And they said to me, I'm the only child, right? They said to me, we're actually worried at some point because you were sitting in front of your mirror and talking to yourself. And then you had all these toys and stuffed animals around you, and you would interview them and you'd ask them questions. And then
Oh
you
my God.
go back. And
And
I'm
you're doing
like,
that
oh,
right
wait.
now.
I'm like, wait, go, like, a few decades forward, and that's what I'm doing. Right. I love that. And something that I discovered though through this process is that I would love to do more acting, theater, anything like creative, more creative stuff.
It's very interesting that what you've told that, people spend a lifetime figuring out what do they want in life. Like that is a question that haunts us at all points of time that, okay, what is it that I really want? Because those goalposts keep changing as and when you achieve newer milestones, you're like, okay, now what next? And what is it? And I see so many mindset shifts happening. I see so many career shifts happening over a period of time. And now when you've given me the example of how as a child, your parents could observe what you did, it just came so naturally to you.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to my mom-in-law would always tell about my husband that he was like such a quiet kid. He would keep inventing his own game. He would like take a ball and he would keep bouncing it against the wall, keep thinking. He would play cricket. He would be the batsman, the bowler. He would keep doing so many things because he was constantly creating and building things, and he's built an organization. So it's very interesting what you've just said. Then now I need to go back to my parents and ask them, what was I doing when I was younger?
Absolutely. Go and do that. Actually, for everybody listening, go and ask your parents what was the most natural thing. And sometimes we don't actually acknowledge it because we think it's just normal. Like everybody can do it. It's
Mm.
not the truth
Ah.
because we
Mm.
just think it's just an organic, natural thing that I do every day and it's not a big deal. But to other people, it must be the most helpful thing, right? It could be very valuable. And I believe now it's more about self-expression and expressing your authentic self than trying to fit into the society or trying to fit into something that other people have projected on you. I think it's more about the liberation of all the layers of actually limitations that we have put on ourselves because of the
Or we are
fear.
conditioned to believe. Yeah. The
Yeah.
condition plays a very important role in how you think. And I think when you expose yourself to more experiences, to more people, it kind of breaks those barriers, it breaks those conditioning, you move out of that. So you're
Yeah.
right. I mean, a lot of these beliefs, the limiting beliefs are, it's easy to get out if you open your mind to it.
Yeah, and you really have to be in environments though that allow you, right? You built your women leadership circle because you wanted to create a safe space for women, right? Same
Correct.
with we have in the Young Presidents Organization in YPO or similar, like, so many people are trying to build these communities now because one of the things that kills that is judgment, it's fear, it's just, when you don't get to self-express yourself authentically because either it's self-inflicted and you have the fear of disappointment or failure, or it comes from the outside and then you gotta actually everything comes from the inside, but different sources, right? Like either it's your self dialogue and your self limitations, or somebody has planted that seed in you but you've accepted it, right? You've
Correct.
accepted that you're not good enough at this, that, or the other. So yeah.
Very recently, a friend of mine introduced me to something called the stay listening, where she actually, so this was within my forum, and she actually told us that shut your eyes and then, do you remember who was wearing what color clothes? What did their earrings look like? Were they carrying a little clutch or whatever? And then you say, so, a lot of times we listen, but we are not even aware. Like, when you shut, like, it's not necessary that you would remember everything. And she's like, move beyond just because we are always listening to react, but completely do not react, do not respond, just listen.
Then
Cut yourself from that urgency and the urge to reply. Like, we go into the savior mode, or we go in the mode of trying to discipline or trying to give you like a viewpoint of view. She said, just do not do any of that. Just listen to your partner for 5 minutes. And she put us on timer. I cannot, and we did a role reversal. We both spoke for 5 minutes each. And I cannot tell you how liberating that was. So, when platforms like these, a simple, a simple thing about just listening can really be so liberating.
so powerful. I always speak about like the 3 zones of listening, or even 4 zones of listening. And the first one is the one you mentioned, right? It's I'm listening to speak. Like I'm
Mm.
listening, but I'm in my head. I'm actually with myself preparing an answer. And we've all been there,
Correct.
and there is no judgment to it, right? Especially with our kids, sometimes we're like, okay, get to the point. I just want to tell you my point of view. And the second level would be I'm listening to understand. Like I'm listening, I'm actually processing the words you're saying. I'm trying to understand and in conscious mind. But the third zone would be I'm actually feeling what you're feeling. I'm actually with you on that emotional level, right? Not only here, but also here, heart to heart. I'm empathetic. I'm trying to feel what you're feeling. And then the fourth zone would be like there's no difference between you and me. It's just we're just in one space. How would that be? Like what would that be like? Because obviously our bodies are separated, but in spirit we're all one. Like in my philosophy, I'm like, okay, how can I be in this space with this person and actually be them, so to say.
Mm.
So
And you look at various social media platforms today, and it comes from an inherent need for a human being to be heard, because people are posting about what they are feeling, where they're going. There is like this urge to share. We are gregarious animals. And something as simple as that, like we get so busy in our lives, we have no time for our friends, we have no time for our kids, everything is like on clockwork. And then when you pause and you give, and it doesn't take long, it's just that 5 minutes can really take care of so many mental issues,
yeah.
can really make you feel understood. And that boosts people's confidence, their emotional well-being. There's just so many things that can happen. And I think the platforms like this, I mean, had I not been a part of that forum, maybe I would have never learned something about it. There's enough content out there, yes. But when somebody's experienced something and you trust that person and they share it with you, you are more open to experimenting it and experiencing it. And that's when the transformation happens. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree. You learn through the eyes of others, like other people become your mirrors. I've been conducting these, at the time summer program that I have around time and energy, but then my upcoming is the reinvention, and reinventing yourself is a lot of work because it it allows you to redefine everything, to re-choose. Earlier we
Right.
spoke about choices and how choices are creating our lives, right? In a way, when you start fresh and you start anew, and I ask you, Shilpa, would you choose the same house? Would you choose the same country? Would you choose, how, would you choose the same routines in your life? How would you choose to wake up? Like, what would that be ideally for you if you could choose everything, which you can, but sometimes we forget, right? Because we're just so into habits and reactive mode, like you're saying, we're just so busy, which it's like this buzziness of a bee, right? Zzz, always
Yeah.
like they're always just reacting, going to places. Um, I find that this is like the pause you're talking about, the reflection power pause is so needed in this world today. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree because we are in some hurry and I don't know to get where.
Mhm.
When that same destination can be reached far more joyfully.
Yeah.
And like imagine being on a train ride and the train is going at its own speed, but you're in such a hurry to get to your destination. You've not even looked out of the window. You've not even enjoyed the scenery. You've not absorbed anything. And then you just get there. I mean, and the joy of the journey is lost.
Yeah. Like we
So,
always say, right? The destination is the journey. We want to be in it. Like we want to be aware and be in the present moment because our minds will, easily take us into the past, and regret, or into the future and kind of anticipating or worrying. But if we are in the present moment, there's actually never fear. It's just like, oh, no, just like this is what's happening right here and now. So I love it. I love that we talk about these very important concepts. And I think people who are listening, they will find it useful to adapt some of these principles to their everyday lives, right? I want to ask you, obviously, we're on the Lead from Within podcast. I want to ask you, what does that lead from within? What does that mean to you? What do you think? What do you feel when you hear it?
I have been extremely blessed. So everything that I can ever think of, I already have. But there is this innate need to build a legacy that will live long after I'm gone. I keep questioning myself this often that I have got so much from the universe and from people around me. What is it that I want to give back? I can't just be a taker. I got to be a giver. And I think that's where I get my motivation from. That's where I want to. When I say lead, I want to lead with the right set of principles. I want to set the right examples. I want to create an ecosystem where people can grow to their highest potential. So yeah, I think that is what lead from within means.
I love it. Yeah, creating a legacy. I love how you're thinking long term, how you are determined of bettering other people's lives. Mhm. And
Sorry.
really making sure, yeah, he likes it. He's with us.
Ah,
He wants to
nice.
lead from within too. It's all about self-expression, isn't it? It's all
Yeah.
about expressing yourself authentically. I am so in awe of your journey. I mean, we started this a little bit earlier and we already exchanged, but I have seen you grow and transform and create and build in the last, let's say, 8 years we've known each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is correct.
So I
But
just want,
I feel exactly the same for you because I just knew you 7 years ago that you wanted to transform lives. You wanted to be a facilitator in bringing out the best in people. And I remember meeting you in Paris at my forum, and then you going on becoming like a CFF, and then now leading like such global panels across the world. I'm so curious that how did you have that clarity? Because a lot of times we decide we want to do something, but to just really see it through and over such a long period of time and going from strength to strength is something that is so inspiring. And I'm really curious as to from
Mhm.
where did you get that clarity and the motivation to get there?
Yeah. So great question. I remember actually very clearly. It was in Singapore at the Global Leadership Conference, the GLC. I'm blanking on the date, but probably 2012 is something around.
Hmm.
I met my husband 2011. We joined YPO straight after, and I was designed the spouse officer or spouse forum officer. Back then, they didn't even have the distinction in Paris, right? Between the two roles. And I didn't know where to go because there's too many abbreviations. I was overwhelmed by 5,000 people. I literally walked into the room that says Transformational Forum, Advanced Training. And I didn't know. And I just walked into the room. I don't know if I was listening to myself. I literally happened to be there by accident. I was like, I'm just going to sit here. I have no idea where I'm supposed to be. And I sat there. There was 200 people in the room. And everybody obviously knew where they were and what they were doing. And I was just sitting there and I was like, oh my God, these are like really intense conversations. These people are going deep. And I felt like I could go there too. And so I shared a lot of things. And our facilitator was excellent. I do not remember his name, but I remember going up to him at the end of the session and saying, what is it that I need to do to become you? I really remember. And I remember how he smiled. I remember how he was like joking with me. I was, what, 25, 26, something like this. And he was like, yeah, we got to do a psychology degree or whatever. He shared his journey with me. And I was like, okay, done, done, done. So I was like, okay, I made my list. And I was in a transition phase because I've just kind of met the man of my life. I had 4 stepchildren, right, to take care of. And I was like, what am I going to do? I'm not a tennis player any longer. I had that kind of identity, which I was still very attached to, but I started to peel that off. And I needed to start fresh. I needed to reinvent myself professionally. I knew who I was in the personal level. And so I think I was courageous enough to figure out coaching degrees in France, which wasn't easy. So I did this Coactive Coaching Institute, which was in Paris and London. And I just loved it. I thought that was so good. I did it for myself, right? First for myself. I didn't have the idea of I'm just going to be a coach. I was thinking, okay, I'm going to do this for myself and figure things out. But then the more I've been doing it, the more I was like, this is my crowd. These are my people. I love speaking, depth. I don't like social
The
surface
superficiality of it.
conversations. Yeah, exactly. And so, and obviously YPO, the Young Presidents Organization, was just helping so much in this whole development because I joined a forum. I saw what it
Value.
transpired in me, what it transpired. And there you go. From that moment on, I kind of knew I wanted to become a facilitator, a coach. And now I'm at a place where I think I'm reinventing myself again, at least the business part of it. It's like, oh, how can I take it to the next level outside of YPO, outside and help more people? Because similar to you is like, when you taste something and you're like, this is delicious, I want to just share it. It's like you're having an iPhone and you're like, what, you don't have an iPhone? Like, how can you have an iPhone? It's like the perfect thing. It like solves everything for you. And so you want to share it with the world. And I think I have so much inspiration to give. I hope that answers
Absolutely.
your question.
Oh, that is amazing. And two very clear takeaways for me is one, that inspiration can come completely at unexpected moments. I mean, you sitting in that room and trying to become like your facilitator. And, you know, to have that thought is one thing, but to actually see to fruition is a completely different ballgame. And that happened with your action, like
Yeah.
consistent action.
Consistent
Otherwise,
action,
it's
lots
not.
of failure too. Like I didn't make it the first time. I remember very clearly. I felt really bad. I was pregnant, or I just delivered my first baby, and I was like, "But I'm perfect for the role. Why am I not getting this? This is not good." And I was not happy. But it wasn't ready, right? It's like the universe always has the best plans for you, and you are actually co-creating always. And the moment it came together, I was ready. And I started, like, we met, I wasn't even certified yet, right? I was just facilitating. I was like, I'm just going to facilitate. The more I can, the better.
Yeah, you're so right. And the second thing that you said, that when only your cup is full, you are ready to give it to others. And
Mhm.
you will overflow when your cup is full, because you said that you started the transformative journey with yourself. You never thought that you'd be coaching. But then when you've seen how amazing the transformation process is, you wanted others to benefit out of it. So
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, huge takeaways for me personally. So lovely.
Yes. No, thank you so
Always
much for
so
the
nice meeting
conversation.
you. I always feel richer after having a conversation with you. And really, I feel that it's like the last 40 minutes well spent, because every
Yes,
conversation that I
same
have.
here. I'm so inspired by your journey. I want to learn more about the women leadership circle as well, and maybe bring it here to Europe. Who knows?
Love that.
This is the power of connections as well. I think people who are like-minded but also like-hearted, they're just on this vibrational frequency. They're like, everything is possible. Like I have this concept of the possibility formula, and I'm like, possibilities everywhere. What we create in our minds is limitation, but abundance is always there. You're like, you don't actually create abundance. Abundance is always there. What we create often is just limiting beliefs around it. So thank you so much for this conversation. I
Oh,
really
Nina, this was so amazing. And really, thank you. I'm just feeling so energized after we chatted.
All right. Okay, my dear. I'm sending you
All
all
right.
love.